unite all my team members. There we go, Asuka's team back up now. So now I need to head to the door. I have another battle I have to deal with first. Now, usually I would use Emmy to open up the doors, but this is the first time where the key that we picked up from the lake area will actually have to be used in order to continue on. And since this team has it, the low key, I don't really know. I don't know what it means. What like the full thing? Maybe it's just basement key, but they put low just to kind of fade it, because anytime there's a translation of certain things, you know, you can only have so many letters. Now here is the incinerator room. You can hear like the baby crying, or you can read that the baby's crying because you actually don't hear it. I also need to open up this door, which will lead us to a whole random row of coffins. Now inside one of these coffins is a key. It randomly changes every time, so I'll start at the end here and work my way over. Hopefully it's in this one. And it is. Good. I didn't have to spend a lot of time. Sometimes it's in that one, sometimes it's in the middle one. As you can see, it actually appears in front of the middle coffin. But now that we have that key, that's the diary key, which, not surprisingly, its main function, its only function, is to open up the diary that was locked in that one room where I picked up the 2 weapons right before I started to train my characters for the first time. So now we are actually done with the whole basement. We're actually going to be heading back up to like the whole main staircase of the area of the game. And then we will actually be heading back to the veranda, and will lead us to where the main rest of the game is, like the rest of the mansion, like the last area that we really haven't explored yet, like the rest of the 2nd floor, which is the location of a whole bunch of key items that we'll need in order to get through it, through the rest of the game, as well as where the final area is located. Of course, we can't go there for a while yet, but that is where it will be located. I use it on the diary, and go ahead and read the diary. You need to read the diary, you can't just open it up. By reading it, will give you the ability to push random statues. Now, I don't understand why it does, but if you don't read the diary, which basically shows that, you know, says that she's gone, one day she's gone insane, she's locked herself away, and no one can help her. You know, basic stuff for a diary entry, and I kind of already explained what was going on in the story. But if you don't read that diary for some reason, you won't be able to push the statues that were out on the veranda. When I go out here now and head down, I will actually have to push these statues in order to get to the next, get across the gap. During the time when Yamamura was leading me around for the first time, I picked up a bow item with Akiko and Emmy that I'll have to use in order to get across this gap. But unfortunately, Emmy and Akiko are still down in the basement, so I now have to track them all the way back, which isn't really that bad. You know, it's not really that long of a distance, it's just a lot of battles will pop up. And going in, seeing the menus, and running out of them each and every time takes up a good amount of the whole thing. That's probably over half of the video of the game. The game's probably, if you take out all the random battles, you can probably get, you know, through it really quickly, and probably in half the time, or not even, you know, maybe less than half the time. Okay, you need to get Akiko and Emmy outside, and then I'm gonna have to. The worst part with having multiple teams and not being able to have more than 3 in a party is, for the upcoming part, I'm gonna have to split up the team a couple of times in order to try to get everybody across, because I'm gonna need everyone in order to get through the whole next area. Because, like I said before, the place where we're gonna be going is actually pretty much one of the most essential places in the whole game. It's actually really like the final area to really go through. After you get done this area, you kind of get sent back, and you have to kind of go through some of the areas you've already been to, and go through a couple of doors you weren't able to get to before, to kind of find some of the last key items that you need in order to take on the final boss. So, really the next area we're going to is the last new area, other than the final area that we'll see throughout the run. Now I got most of the team over, have to split up again, and have to go over one last time to go pick up Kaz, the last party member, who pretty much is the most important party member for me, at least. Now, of course, you can level up any member of the team to their max level, and they could all be pretty useful. You don't need to get to the max level, which is 20. In the game, you can only go up to level 20. But you don't need to even get up to there in order to be able to complete the game. I think at most, I'm like 13, 14 at most, if not less than that. I'm not sure how to even check what level you are unless you just memorize how many times you've leveled up. Because there's no like status screen like in most RPGs that have like a status screen that tells you how many hit points you have, attack points, defense, all that good stuff. You know, very useful information. Unfortunately, another small little gripe with the game is that it doesn't include that in the game, which is a little disappointing, but really isn't that too big of a deal as long as, you know, you can see your health still, so you can tell when that's getting low at least. But the only time it's really annoying is when you're trying to figure out exactly what level you are, try to see, you know, how many more levels I have to go to either max out or how many more levels I'll need in order to complete the next area. Like I said before, I have to do some training in order to get past a few points in the game. I'm not sure exactly what level you need to be in order to get past those areas. Now, in the whole place where I am now, I'm dealing with those giant boulders that run at you. You can avoid the boulders if you want. You can kind of try to duck behind certain hallways, the little, you know, things in the hallway that kind of one-spot places. But the boulder only does 20 damage to everyone it hits each time. And in retrospect, in terms of how much health I totally have for each character, it really isn't that much taken away, so it's really just kind of worth it to just kind of take a little bit of damage than it is to kind of avoid the boulders or take the time to avoid the boulders. Now I love that ghoul enemy that just appeared there just because they pop out from the ceiling. They kind of remind me of like when a licker in Resident Evil 2 would kind of like fall down from the ceiling, or some of the other creatures in Resident Evil that fall from the ceiling at you. That's kind of what the ghoul reminds me of. It kind of like is dropping in on you from above. Which can always be like the scariest if you're just walking down a hallway, you can't see the ceiling above you, and then all of a sudden a giant licker or, you know, random hunter or something from Resident Evil just randomly in front of you. And I know I'm making Resident Evil references, and if you don't know Resident Evil, you won't know what each of the enemies I'm referring to even is. But a licker basically is a giant skinned person with a very long tongue and kind of move around like a frog or a spider thing, can kind of hang on ceilings and hang on walls. The area I am at now is the first ice room. There's only actually, I think, 2 ice rooms I'll have to even go to in the game. This is the first one. There's actually another one that has a tonic in it. So if you're low on tonics, another room in this area contains a tonic, so you can refill your health if you do need it at this point in the game. Now, in this upcoming hallway, besides some, of course, battles that do, is a series of 3 different statues that are going to try to fall on me, and I'll have to do that whole dodging scene, so get used to it. We have to see it 3 times. Here's the first one. Dive past it, hopefully I get past. And no, I actually do get hit by it, take 5 damage. Move a couple more steps forward and have another one fall at me. Have to dodge this one. And get past it, and now the last one in this room. After I get done these 3 statues, I'll be actually heading to the next room area, and I'll have to switch back and move everyone forward. I'm actually going to the servant quarters, like where the maids and the butlers would be staying in the game. In here you can see the set of stairs in the lower right corner, which will take us to another area, which will give us a key item that we need. I'm going to switch back to Kaz's group real quick, move them forward, and they're going to actually be the ones that go down the stairs in order to pick up the item. I had to burn through a rope first, if I didn't have to deal with a random enemy. I'm just going to go ahead and fight it real quick. It'll save me some of the extra training I'll have to do, even though you won't see it. It'll save me from doing some extra training. Plus it'll only take a couple turns to take out this enemy, and you'll actually get to see a battle for once. Since I don't really have the best equipment on all my characters, you can see that Taro and Asuka really aren't doing any damage, especially Asuka is only doing 1 damage per hit. But before I go to the final area, like the final couple of places I'm going to go to, I'm actually going to pick up like really good equipment, not surprisingly, for my characters, my main team, before going into like the final rooms. So you'll see they'll be able to do at least a good amount of damage before going into the final boss room. Another random wolf appears. Might as well take him out real quick, just like I did the previous one. Even though this one's a dog, it looks like a dog. It's the upgraded rabbit dog. It's like the wolf. It still looks like the same sprite as the dog one, but oh well. After a few hits, he'll be done. Did a whole bunch of damage to Kaz there. Okay, now I go up here. Have to vacuum through some more glass. At the end of this hallway will be another set of keys, actually called the 2 key. I'm not sure why 2 key. I guess it's 2 keys on there that open different locks, but the 2 key will be needed in order to get through, not surprisingly, a couple more random doors throughout the run. Fighting the random stats, you know what, just forget it. Let's get by. Okay, go in here. There is the set of keys, the 2 key. Go ahead and move it into my inventory. You may have also noticed I picked up a random candle in the 1 ice room. There's actually 3 blue candles throughout the game, and you need them in order to put them in the hands of 3 statues, these 3 statues that are together, and you light them, and by doing that will